Reinvention starts with quitting. But when you're raised to be an Olympic gymnast, quitting isn't an option. Now, some parents motivate their little athletes with things like, there's no I in team, or as long as you try your best. Mine made this clear. Winners never quit, and quitters never win. So I never quit anything, because this is the person I was supposed to be. The first Bruce in the Olympics, perfect, just like Nadia. My parents were certain of it. I'm not sure why. I was kind of a sickly kid, but by age 7, I was in training. First tumbling, then dance, then rhythmic gymnastics, the kind with ribbon, hoop, ball, and clubs. Pretty soon it was pretty serious. 6 days a week, 6 hours a day, no time for hanging out at the mall with friends or going on sleepovers. But one time, because I convinced my parents it was the same as practicing, I got to be in a talent show. This is me in 8th grade at Meadow Park Junior High School. I picked my own music, Strawberry Fields Forever, and I made my own costume, the closest to strawberry pink tights, leotard, and ribbon I could find, and I made up my own dance. Being on that stage, not as an Olympic gymnastics hopeful, but as a dancer, was the happiest moment of my life. I wanted to dance in strawberry fields forever. But winners never quit. So when that magical night ended, I was back in a gym training for the Olympics. Inside, I was still strawberry fields, but I couldn't quit. So fast forward a few years, and this is me at the National Sports Festival, a member of the United States Rhythmic Gymnastics team. I started college by age 16 in California to be near the best coaches, and by my junior year, I had represented the United States in 2 world championships. I was on my way. The thing is, I would have traded that me in a heartbeat for Strawberry Fields me. I hated competing. I hated the mandatory dieting, the twice daily weigh-ins, my maniacal Russian coaches. I hated hoping my teammates would drop the ball, literally, so that I would score higher. But I couldn't quit. I was ranked 4th in the United States, and the top 3 were going to the Olympics. My parents, my coaches, my college, I thought even my country was depending on me. Yet, I stand before you a non-Olympian. How did I get out of it? The best thing I could have asked for happened. I broke my back. Late at night, in an empty gym, getting in an extra practice before a meet in Hong Kong. The janitor found me, unconscious on a hardwood floor. The doctor said it was the kind of break they usually see in high-impact motor vehicle collisions, or in girls whose bones are weak from malnutrition. My parents were devastated, but I was relieved. With a broken back, I couldn't be the person I was supposed to be, and I didn't have to be a quitter. I had an excuse to be the real me. My parents had a new identity for me by the time I got out of rehab and back on my feet again. If a broken back meant that I couldn't be this person, then I should be this person, the first female president of the United States. No big deal. Or at the very least, this person, on TV and famous. So off I went to graduate school in journalism, got perfect grades, and became this person, the youngest nightly news anchor at the only TV station in Beaufort, South Carolina. I attacked it with the zeal of an almost Olympian. I chased down my own stories, I did investigations, I lugged heavy equipment everywhere, which is how I met this woman. Bern Miller knew a thing or two about reinvention. She started her dance career doing burlesque on vaudeville in the Great Depression, wearing scandalous costumes that revealed a voluptuous figure. She's the tall one in the middle. But modern dance was her true calling, and she studied under the greats, Harold Kretzberg, Lucas Hoving, Elizabeth Rockwell. She met and married a young madman of advertising, raised 2 daughters, lived and danced around the world before settling in Beaufort, South Carolina, a sleepy military town in 1969, where the closest thing Bern ever saw to a modern dance spiral were shrimpers casting their nets into the murky waters. But Bern couldn't live without dance, so she created the Bern Miller Dance Theater and lured the greats of modern dance to perform in the Deep South and teach residencies in local schools. Martha Graham's company, was in little old Beaufort. News anchor me thought this was like an incredible scoop. I mean, we're talking about a town more likely to have prayer in public schools than modern dance. So I covered it for WJWJ. Well, Bern Miller took one look at the way I carried my camera on a ballet dancer's turned out hip, and she invited me to the master class of the Martha Graham dancers. She saw the real me, someone I didn't even give myself permission to be. Remember, I was still trying to be the person my parents wanted me to be. So how did this woman, who didn't even know me, see the strawberry fields me? Precisely because she didn't know me the way traditional mothers know their daughters. Over the course of the next 10 years, she became what I call my other mother. It turns out we needed each other, but I couldn't have imagined that at the time. All I knew was that Bern Miller had no vested interest in my identity. She did not judge herself by my successes or failures, as my parents did, as many proud parents do. She didn't even know that I didn't make the Olympics and that I was supposed to make up for that failure by becoming the next Barbara Walters. She didn't know that I had spent a lifetime afraid to quit anything. And I mean that literally, from little things like a boring book to big things like a dead-end job and an abusive boyfriend. All she saw was a dancer posing as a reporter. She saw right through me to me. So, how do you become an other mother? You don't have to be a modern dance pioneer with a fairy tale marriage. Bern simply had a way of attracting followers to her exuberant positivity. She called them her collected children, and I quickly became one of them, eager for lessons from my charismatic, confident other mother. She was fighting a heroic battle to save this man, her husband of 60 years, from Alzheimer's. Her antagonist was a federal judge in Charleston who had shut down his experimental treatments on procedural concerns, and she enlisted the support of every reporter she knew, including me. She was one woman against the machine, and I admired her courage. Bern seemed like the opposite of a quitter to me, and that's what drew me to her. But over the course of researching her life for my memoir of our relationship, I realized it wasn't that Bern never quit anything, it was that she called it something different. Walking into another room. She said, when what is painful can't be fixed, simply close the door behind you and step into another room. The brain has more chambers than the heart. She spoke of pain as an intimate companion. She knew great personal tragedies, and many, many doors closed on her professional life as well. Dance companies, even the very modern ones, don't typically hire women after they've had 2 children, so she walked into another room. Choreography. When her 2 daughters did not follow in her dancing footsteps, she collected dancer daughters and formed her own company. After 5 spinal surgeries, she reinvented that dance company into one that presented the greats of modern dance instead. Now, she never sat me down and said, listen, Teresa, this is how you reinvent yourself. You close the door behind you, you walk into another room. That would have made me defensive. Overt advice is the kind of tactic a traditional mother uses, not an other mother. Bern simply told stories of choices she made. She spoke in colorful anecdotes and analogies I call womenisms in the book, like this one. Now, womenisms is just a word I made up, something like witticism meets feminism with a little something cheekier thrown in for the measure. And she never used these womenisms to lecture me or critique my decisions. What she did was she threw these womenisms up into the air like confetti and then stepped aside so they would shower down on me. The first womenism I remember was, the family you're born with is not the one you're stuck with. Now, I had to learn not to take Bern's womenisms literally. She adored her family, and she came to know and respect mine as well. What she meant was that if you can't get what you need from the family you inherit, then go out and collect the family you need. If my parents made me feel that life without fame or an Olympic medal was somehow a failure, I was not biologically bound to agree with them. She still wasn't sure I was getting it, so she had another womenism at the ready. There's not a contract on earth that cannot be rewritten. Years later, I realized identity is just a contract we make with ourselves. Perhaps the most important womenism I learned from my other mother is never to try to be everything to one person, in my case to a gymnastics judge or a mother or a man, Byrne said, "No woman can be everything to a man. To try is beyond valiant. It's stupid." Even Byrne, with her fairy tale marriage of 60 years, had to learn that lesson. Handsome Madison Avenue Duncan was surrounded by beautiful models and women who admired his many talents, and she could have driven herself crazy insecure trying to compete with each of them. Eventually, she accepted that there would always be a woman out there prettier or maybe wittier or more mysterious, but she trusted that she was the unique combination Duncan couldn't live without. Now, the reverse was equally true. Even a dream man, even a Duncan, couldn't possibly be expected to fulfill her every need. She told her collected daughters, "Every woman should have at least one affair. It builds confidence." Now, did we take her literally? We are talking about a burlesque dancer here. But she wanted her daughters to feel treasured and confident. And if it took the attentions of another man to build that confidence, well, so be it. What I took away from it was the importance of knowing who you really are and believing in her. In truth, I couldn't have heard that message from anyone but my other mother, one who saw the strawberry fields me, one who knew I was reinventing the contract of my own identity. Looking back, I think my having an other mother took some pressure off my parents, too. They knew that I had found someone to pick up where they left off. And now, through talking to all of you, I'm helping complete Byrne's legacy as well, celebrating her identity, as all daughters do. It's the least I can do. She showed me the wisdom in quitting. It is not the same as failing. It is the catalyst for reinvention. Thank you.